Hi, everyone, and welcome to Basic Binges, part of the Nom Talk Network. Today is Monday. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Okay, wow. My mind just went through like, oh, wait, no, what are you saying? It is. Okay, here we are. We're back. Look at us. On this show, we review popular shows that are out now while eating and drinking some of our favorite foods and drinks. I'm your host, Amy Cassandra Martinez. I am not drinking or eating anything right now. I'm winging it, just like, woohoo! I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest for today, starting with Eric. What are you drinking?
Hi, I'm Eric. I am drinking water. Refreshing, reinvigorating for the body. You have to sometimes.
Yes. And we also have Johnny. What's up? What are you drinking?
I'm like double wielding water, which is very important. You might remember from last episode. And it's not the best. It's all right.
It's not. What does it taste like?
It's tequila soda, and it's like got like a little lime situation on it. It feels like a LaCroix with like tequila, and I'm like, all right.
It's all right. You know what's
They make a great Mai Tai, though. They make an amazing Mai Tai.
Ah, nice. I don't think I've ever had one. I don't think I've ever had a Mai Tai.
That was good.
But I should have one someday. You know what we should do right now is talk about episodes 5 and 6 of Stranger Things. Hey everyone, welcome. Of course, we are talking about Stranger Things and how it relates to some food moments and everything that's going on in those 2 episodes. If y'all have any questions, anything you would like to add, make sure to jump in the chat and share your thoughts, feelings, emotions, all of that. There's a lot that happened these 2 episodes, so we're just gonna jump right into it, starting with food. So we see Eddie eat Spaghettios. So I have 2 questions for everyone. First, have you had Spaghettios? Do you like them? If you haven't had them, would you like to have them now that you saw them on Stranger Things, episode 5? What are your favorite shelf-stable foods? Yeah, I mean, like think of canned foods. And I will share a little story which will lead us into future questions. So who wants to go first?
Spaghettios were never my thing.
Okay.
Ever. It tasted weird to me. I was always the ravioli guy.
Yeah.
And then they made them in the smaller version. That's what my go-to was raviolis. And soup. I'm a soup guy, so shelf-stable soups.
Yeah, definitely shout out to soups. Soups are, when you get like a cold at all, like there's nothing better than the soups. As far as mine, it's not in the can, but it's one of those like survivalist kind of dishes, if you will, is mac and cheese. You do need a stove, you need a strainer, whatever. Just throw a little pepper, throw a little seasoning in there. You got yourself like a pretty good meal.
Yeah.
I like that. I've never thought about seasoning mac and cheese. That's such a good idea. I would just straight up just eat mac and cheese.
Oh, you have to throw in a little seasoning in there.
I've never done that. I can't even tell you the last time I did have mac and cheese. Although dairy-free mac and cheese is pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah. Spaghettios reminds me of raviolis. And ravioli. Do y'all say raviolis or ravioli?
I think it's ravioli. As the Italian, as here I think as Americanized Italian, I might say that it's ravioli.
You better get this right.
Let me ask my fiance, Maddie, sweetie, is it ravioli or raviolis?
Ravioli?
Yeah, it's like sheep and sheeps.
Ravioli. Yeah, because the I is already plural. E to I, A to E. But yes, it makes me think about the summers where I would stay at home while my mom worked, and I would have like those meals, that were just like easy to make. So that brings me to my next question. What are some meals that y'all had that didn't require much preparation that you're like, yeah, this reminds me of just being a kid? Because mine were like, what is it, Healthy Choice? Those frozen, lots of frozen dinners.
I mean, I can pipe in on this one. And in this economy, full-grown adults, just like, I need to still live off of this shit. For me, it's ramen. Now I'm like Abed from Community. I'm a monster when it comes to eating foods the way that I eat them. I once had string cheese and just like bit on it, like and didn't pull it apart. Fiance goes, "You eat string cheese like a monster," and that's the phrasing that I use for my ramen. It's basically buttered noodles until I'm sick. So it has like a pad thai sort of like vibe to it, you know.
I like that.
That's how I roll.
Yeah. Eric?
Easy thing as a kid that I would always eat: sandwiches, go-tos. Also, Spam.
Oh, okay.
People sleep on Spam. Spam is delicious.
Spam forever.
Right?
Yeah, dude. I another thing. Speaking of spam, here's what you do, guys. All right, Nom Talk Network, Johnny Spam tangent.
Let's go.
Chop it up. Make musubi. All you need to do is do rice, a sauce in the center. Like, it's so easy to make. I hope my fiance, who's right here, doesn't realize how cheap I am. And it's just like, you know, she loves it. Still make it musubi. But when you go get musubi somewhere else, because they make it so fast, like, and because because it's a part of the menu, like they do it in a perfect square. You get the little block and stuff, and the maker, like, oh,
so good.
Musubi is where it's at. And if you can get like a little egg in there, I feel like Miracle Max. Get a little egg in there, where the little egg is like, oh.
It's making me hungry. Q-Ball says, microwave mac and cheese for them. Yum. Yeah, I mean, lots of mac and cheese. And if you have some, I mean, what? Kraft? Kraft is the first one that comes to mind. Kraft mac and cheese. I don't know about y'all, but I love it when food is shaped to like fun different shapes, like dinosaurs or
SpongeBob.
Yeah, I'm like,
that's SpongeBob comes right to mind.
It makes it taste so much better, and it's a better experience. I don't know if y'all can agree in the chat. Welcome, Q-Wall. So, all right, let's get into what happens in these 2 episodes. Like I said, there's a lot that does happen, so we're just gonna work our way through it, starting with probably the most important thing, which is 11's situation. Oh my goodness. So 11 sees Papa for the first time in forever. She is back in what I'm calling the Institute. Do y'all know what it's called exactly? Do we get an official name for this place? This, like, Institute.
Hawkins Lab?
The bunker?
Okay, that makes sense. Hawkins Lab, bunker situation, horrible place that no one wants to go to. She is back. So I want to hear everyone's thoughts about seeing her back at that place and seeing her see Papa for the first time and seeing her hair short again. This is a wig. I do want to say it's a wig.
It's a perfect wig.
So good.
So good. The way they did it to put that wig on her was ingenious.
Yeah. Do you want to share?
They did like flat braids and then just like swooped it around her head, then put the bald cap on there and slicked everything down. Like, you cannot tell. Perfect on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know. I was like, oh my God. Because obviously that was one of the most iconic things that happened in pop culture history that year when Stranger Things came out. I was like, oh my God, she shaved her head for the role. She's a child. And ever since then, look, here we are, several years later, talking about 11, and she's back with the short hair. So let's talk about feelings, seeing her see Papa for the first time and being back at Hawkins Lab and that institution. Johnny. Mm-hmm.
Before we do, I'd like to say that Eddie's wig, it's just, to not see him with that hair is bizarro.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird.
He looks like a different person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like it. I'm like, you should totally keep that hair because it really works. So yeah, Johnny, we'll start with you. Thoughts on 11 seeing Papa
again? There's a couple things. One, I love the Mad About You Paul Reiser coming in as the sort of like pre-Papa, like the My Two Dads vibe. I love that. I love the fact that, like, when you see his face, he has like the Dr. Evil scar, and it's just like, it's really clever to be like, oh, is he bad or what? But Yeah, no, it's clever. Matthew Modine. I like the first episode where he's filling out like he's timing himself doing the crossword puzzle, and he's a part of like regular, America in the morning. What was that? The Reagan comments help me out here. That Reagan, it's morning in America. I think it was the campaign, and it has that vibe, which is 80s, and I like that. But the reveal of him with the scar, that's pretty cool.
I like that. Eric?
Seeing Papa come back, had a feeling that it was going to happen eventually at some point, but I wasn't prepared. Like, as much as 11 freaked out when she saw him, and just like that sheer like, oh my God, I'm stuck. I'm going to be back in hell again, for lack of a better term. Just that right is perfect that they did that with him, but it's 11 has a lot to go through, like a lot of baggage to unpack, and it's going to be quite an interesting thing to see how that relationship blossoms.
How it develops? Yeah. Hey everyone, so I do want to say hi if you're just joining us right now. Cue ball sharing, when the perfect time to have microwave mac and cheese is, which is definitely all the time. But I like your story, cue ball. Hello, Boba Fett. What's up? Welcome. I mean, gosh, it's really scary to see 11 back in that place. And not only that, but seeing her surrounded by other kids. And I do desperately want to go into the competitions that I'm calling them competitions, tests with the other kids. There's two main ones that we see, like one, which I'm going to try to describe right now, which is the one where you're looking at the lights and like stuff's supposed to happen. And then the other one where you're literally blindfolded and you're supposed to like move the other person outside of the little circle that they're on. Thoughts about that? Were you scared for 11? Were you scared for the other kids? And what was going through your mind while watching that? And what do you think is really adding to the story as well? We'll start with you, Eric.
The light one, I mean, just basic, let's test your powers with that light one. See if you can control it, focus, which all of them had to do. That pushing one, however, I think was mainly to be like, okay, we're going to make a chain here so you can see who's more powerful. So you people over here who think you're the older ones, the stronger ones, 11's over here, and I'm going to show you actually how strong she is, which is an interesting play to see, especially after that whole situation goes down and they kind of like attack her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which we'll definitely get into as well. Johnny?
Yeah, I think that the writers do a bang-up job of flat out making this relatable, because anybody who's ever tried out for sports or had like recess or PE or anything, it's like they're basically wearing PE clothes for what, like they're the Rocky sweatsuits, and basically, yeah, it's one of those things where it makes it relatable. Every kid's been in that scenario where you're like, have to run a mile or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it makes it relatable to the viewer to get that feeling. But yeah, I mean, just the Duffers are making it relatable, making it cool, or not cool, but I don't know. It's a great writing mechanism, I think.
Now y'all touched on this already, but yeah, Elle gets bullied, hardcore bullied. And it's crazy to see her because obviously, was it definitely last week we talked about, or the week before, it's time. We talked about her talking with Mike and, saying, I don't have superpowers anymore, because he was like, you're a superhero. She's like, not anymore. So seeing her in that vulnerable position for the first time since getting into that lab and, like seeing her be put up against other kids, when she used to be the most powerful one, or she used to feel like bigger, right? What were y'all's thoughts when you saw her getting like thrown around? I'm gonna go first. First of all, I was like, oh my God, we're 11, stop. This is a lot for me. What are we doing? Please, no more. So what y'all thinking? Everyone in the chat as well. Um, we have some thoughts about some characters. We are only talking about episodes 5 and 6 right now, so reveals for episode 7 and who's who we'll save for next week, as well as talking about episode 8, which will be just kidding. Yes, 8, which will be brand new. Eric, thoughts on seeing Elle bullied? And you know what? Let's get into it. Little 11 as well.
Seeing her get bullied was tough, much like the beginning of this season when she started getting bullied in high school. But yeah, like you were saying, she definitely is the strongest one out of all of them. But it was clever for them to play on she's now reliving this the exact same way that she went in Hawkins' lab as she did earlier in the season at high school, where she really wasn't confident in herself, and she just didn't have anybody to turn to really. So that bullying aspect, I love how they brought that back. But it's Elle. I feel bad for her. But yeah, no, I just feel like she needs to get a couple more episodes. Is all I'm gonna say.
Little 11, thoughts on little? I'm calling her Little 11.
Maybe 11.
Yeah.
Little 11. Yeah, thoughts?
So a couple things is just the fact that we talk about like bullying today. I mean, we talked about this previous episode. We talk about like bullying today and bullying in the 80s and bullying and all that kind of stuff. Like we think about child psychology. I have a bunch of friends who are educators, and I have one friend in particular who is a child psychologist. And the fact that we, from the 80s, like sort of on, paid more attention to childhood or child development, like how it affects the person in the long term. When I was a kid, and my family didn't do this, but I know a lot of families of it, and definitely before me, were like, you're getting picked on in school, you just got to deal with it, like either fight back or you're just making it up. And I think a lot of, especially 80s kids, had to deal with like sort of peer pressure and all that kind of stuff with like the, what's his name, the sort of jock character coming after Jason coming after, and depression in teens. And like sort of after the 50s and 60s, where we started looking at teenager, or, maybe this country or pop culture started looking at teenagers as individuals, like James Dean and all that kind of stuff. So they weren't just like, oh, they're kids, And when it comes to the concept of her reliving things, it's a great sort of, I'm not a psychologist or nothing, but the great message that I think is really great to tell the audiences and the kids who watch us and like this is the only way out of something is to go through it, is to be strong enough to just kind of like, it's tough, but you got to face facts instead of just being a baby and just like wham-wham-meing all the time. And then that also brings into the idea of, I was from an era where it's just like, you got to go through it, and you got to keep on, being tough and getting through it. There's a balance of coddling, and there's a balance of, standing up for yourself and all that kind of stuff, and proving, that you're worth a damn, like for your own self.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just me being an old man and trying to be young at the same time, and just kind of keeping one foot in the other things, and trying to have a good perspective.
I mean, yeah, I think standing up for yourself is something that we can all agree on, like sometimes the world tries to run you over, and so you just have to keep going. I mean, this applies to so many things going on in life. But Elle does have someone that's with her on IMDb. He's called the Friendly Orderly. He is played by Jamie Campbell Bower. Again, we were just talking about episodes 5 and 6, so we're not going to reveal who he really is until next week. But yeah, she basically has someone that's like, helping her out while she's playing what I call plinko. Do y'all remember that in The Price is Right? The little thing, right? It's called plinko.
Yep, plinko.
Yeah. Which is so fun. I can't imagine like how many times she had to do that. I'm just like,
yeah. Also, look up Snoop Dogg and plinko.
What?
There's a really great video. I think they did like a celebrity version of Price is Right, and like him there, and he's just like cheering them on, It's Uncle Snoop being the most adorable and lovable Snoop. And just do yourself a favor, check it out. It's so wonderful.
This is a little bit of a tangent, but everyone in the chat, if y'all have like favorite game shows, feel free to show them. I mean, write them, show them to us in words in the chat. Yeah, because it just made me think about The Price is Right, and I was like, oh, Eleven's playing plinko. This is cool. But yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to the actor who plays the friendly orderly, Jamie Campbell Bower, being like helpful, but also like you got something up your sleeve, which again we'll find out next week. But yeah, so there's that. I think we should go ahead and talk about one of y'all's favorite characters in this season, Argyle. Argyle is hanging out with Jonathan, Mike, and Will. What last happened was that they were being monitored by these two detective kind of guys, and one of them got shot and things ended badly, and they had to bury him. And so now they're all together. They're trying to figure out what's the next step. They end up going to Susie's house. We see them meet Susie. Susie meets them. Susie is Dustin's girlfriend. Susie's the one that helped Dustin change his grade because she's a genius, to quote the show. She's a genius. And most importantly, Argyle meets Eden. So we see Argyle just fall in love with Eden. And so, yeah, we're doing a hard left from like really difficult stuff to Argyle likes someone. And, they end up having fun in the van, in the surfer boy pizza van, which sounds cryptic, but they basically end up like getting high. So seeing Argyle be happy, thoughts, feelings, what do you hope for them as well? Let's start getting into like predictions for the rest of the season because things do kind of like, take a pause. So Argyle and Eden, thoughts, everything. Eric, we'll start with you.
Love that for Argyle. He definitely needs his, as people say, his lobster. And I feel like this girl could be that for him. He just like that looking of just, you are the most beautiful thing I have ever seen in my life. And that look back that she gave to him was just so joyous to see, and everything that we need in our lives from them too. Plus them partaking in the devil's lettuce together,
Devil's lettuce.
Nice.
Yes.
Yes.
Love that phrasing. Love that phrasing. Okay, so a couple things. One, first off, when we're talking about the friendly orderly, my quick tidbit with that is don't trust the gaunt high cheekbones. And like, there's something about him that's just a little too, it's great casting. Producer Stephanie, if you could help us out, whoever that casting person is.
Carmen Cuba.
Who's that?
Carmen Cuba.
She's doing her job fantastically. And then, okay, so secondly, we also mentioned the shootout. We also talked about the shootout with the two guys sort of like, what's it called? Sort of staking out, making sure the kids stay safe. That whole shootout was brilliant because it felt like I was in a total separate show. Now, while I'm not like, while gun violence is, was what it is in this country, and while we still have like this sort of love affair with it, it gets like, at least for watching it for entertainment value, it gets your heart pumping. And it puts you in this other like high stakes thing. But as your question was,
actually, I have to come in really quick. Argyle came in clutch for that as well. Like,
yes.
Doesn't know anything that's happening and just picks him up, drives. Let's go. We're doing this. Has his little freak out, but that's MVP right there.
That's how you know he's down.
Yeah.
But so Susie, like, it's really great to sort of see her family be this sort of like offshoot Royal Tannenbaum situation, which was like bizarre and hilarious. And we, with the kid who's playing like the bow and arrow kid, and Eden pulling a full on like Ali Sheedy situation, and the part where
sorry, I don't know that reference.
Oh, well, kids, let me tell you about this show or this movie called The Breakfast Club.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, Ali Sheedy.
Molly Ringwald? No,
Was it-
the other one.
No.
Yeah, Molly
The other
Ringwald's in it, but
That
Ali
makes sense.
Sheedy,
That
Molly
makes sense.
Sheedy's the one who could put the lipstick on with her boobs.
and who has the
Yes, the one. Yeah. Okay.
So
I
she
didn't
has that Ali Sheedy vibe.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
also, one of the best things about, I just find it to be so like, I don't want to say like of this era where she's just like, oh, I'm just gonna check the IP address. It's a blah 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 blah. And she's like, the internet's gonna change the world. And it's like, is she gonna now start talking about like Bitcoin and like NFTs and shit? Like, she's a genius. She invented the internet.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's interesting how they get her help because they're like making stuff up and it doesn't make sense at all. But they're like, it's for Destin, his birthday. And she says exactly when his birthday is down to the hour, which I was like, damn, girl. Okay, you've got it.
That's how some of those minds work, bro.
Yeah. But I'm glad that we get to have some time with them and that they meet each other and we like start grouping people a little bit more. So let's talk about another group that I feel like there's so much that happens that we haven't spent a lot of time, but I'm glad that we do this time. Joyce and Murray basically take down a plane with Yuri. So Yuri is the one that that like drug them, poison them a little bit. And then is taking them on a little tiny like plane, the little like
The biplane?
I'm sorry?
The biplane?
The biplane, thank you. Yeah, it looks terrifying. Just seeing that, like I hate flying, and I was like, oh. And then I mean, I want to give props to Joyce because Joyce was the like mastermind behind like taking over that whole situation.
Can't hear us, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I want to know, was your blood pressure high? Was your pulse like insanely high as well? Thoughts about Murray and just the whole situation, as well as them ending up like basically stranded. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, everyone in the chat as well. I mean, they took us for a ride.
They did. It was just so chaotic. Like from that moment the peanut butter hit, we were just on that adventure with them. Joyce, though, with all the ideas, like you just said, all the ideas, Murray just kind of like tags along behind her, but you have to love him because his karate and his boisterousness with things definitely helps. Like, it's that sleight of hand thing. Send Murray in, and then Joyce will do the things in the background.
Yes.
But it was great. And thankfully, they didn't like tragically perish to their death when they went to all those trees. So,
I don't think I could fly a plane like I mean, I don't know anything. I don't know how to fly.
They didn't either. if you
Yeah, which I'm like, huh? But and I obviously it's all scripted, blah blah blah. But I'm like, that's part of their job, right? To make us feel like, what would we do in that situation? And I would just be like, I don't know. We all need a Joyce in our life. Let's be real. So Johnny, Fess.
Yeah, I gotta say, out of that whole sequence, the thing that I love most was the character development of her just being like, you know karate, right? And he's all like, yeah, I don't know, blah 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 blah. And then he kind of in himself just goes, but I beat so and so, and he's fierce, so I can do this guy. This guy's nothing compared to that 16-year-old kid. And I'm like, oh man, this guy, he's doing a great job.
He's hyping himself up. Sometimes I feel like maybe it's the imposter syndrome or we just like cut ourselves short. So be like Murray and think about what you've already accomplished. Okay. Now something that does happen at the end of season 5, which is, it's our next death, y'all. His name's Patrick, one of the basketball boys. So we see the basketball boys again and they're running. They end up seeing Eddie on a little tiny boat thing.
Yeah.
And Patrick gets Vecna. That's what I'm calling it. He gets Vecna. But most importantly, Jason sees. Jason is the main basketball dude. He's had it like he's been, I don't know how to say this, but like he's been after Eddie this whole time. So I'm like, I'm just so glad that he saw everything go down and how Eddie had nothing to do with it. But what ends up happening, which we will delve into a little bit more now going into episode 6 is that it just becomes like a hunt for the Hellfire Club. The basketball boys end up going and kind of crashing the town hall meeting, and it becomes like, let's all take it into the community here, like into people's hands, and we're gonna basically chase after all these kids. I want to know all your feelings about everything that happened that I just spoke about. And, you know, Jason, because I feel like Jason kind of disappears along with the basketball guys. I feel like we forget them, and then, oh yeah, they come back, and then it's like only to cause more chaos. So, Johnny, we'll start with you. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think the whole concept of the Jason thing is really a great testament to the mob mentality that we're living in today, the sort of unfound hype. Because I mean, even in that first episode, when Chrissy was still alive, and they were talking about like, oh, you know, he's rallying up the thing. That's obviously what a team captain does. But in the hands of a kid who's been traumatized, i.e., you know, basic white guy who's feel like he's been wronged, you know, in the misdirect of his trauma becomes something violent, becomes something dangerous, Gaston-esque, if you will. You know?
Yes!
So, but when Gaston does it, it's fucking hilarious and awesome. You know?
Never
this
like stuff. Yeah.
It's too close to reality in the concept of this, like, sort of like, you know, angry white America, you know, that, to be honest, has always been here. Like, the 80s was no different than now. You know, we like to pat ourselves on the you know, 2022 hindsight, but you know, the only thing is that we're kind of no better for it. Like, I don't know, maybe we're Americans, maybe whatever. Maybe I'm a pessimist to say this, you know, considering like the Supreme Court stuff that's happening right now. It's just like, we still, like, come on, we could be better than this. We could so be better than this, you know? And then, and that's why it's tragic to see a Jason character do all this, because it's just like, it's holding up a mirror to us, you know?
It's scary. It's definitely scary. Eric?
Yeah, and see, thank you for saying the Gaston reference, because I was trying to put it closest I could bring Jason to is Joffrey from Game of Thrones. Like how people hated him, and just like you hate him and you can't find a reason to like him. That's what I'm getting from Jason. Very much along those aspects of it. Of like, yes, you've been through stuff, but also this is just your personality. In this time frame, like, you've gotten everything you wanted, you basketball coach, everything like that, beautiful girlfriend, and then this one little thing that you have to go and pretty much get all this mob in your whole entire town to go after the Hellfire Club, because that's what he's good. He reminds me of a preacher, because he's so good, like future politician. He's so good with his words that everybody's just going to go and follow him and potentially not hurt the Hellfire Club, but they're gunning for it.
And I feel like it also comes from the concept of someone, like you're saying, who's had like everything go right for them, go right for them, go right for them. They're expecting everything to go right, go right, go right. And the minute one thing's off, they have to attack, and they have to go, you know what? Like, I've had it good for so long that, like, not that anybody deserves any kind of tragedy of someone, you know, that they care about dying or anything like that. But like, people who have been at the top for so long lack the perspective. You know what I mean? Like, even we as Americans, like, even if like whatever, like, there's a lot of like, there's a funny comedian by the name of Pete Holmes, who I love quoting about perspective, which is like, you think your world is so this, zoom out. You get the best perspective when you just take it all out. We're on a rock, on a plane. Like, you know, like, you think it's the end of the world. Like, you're going to be fine. Just zoom out, get some perspective.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too, because we are, it feels like, especially this season, we get to zoom out and get perspective on everything because there's so many different groups of people together.
Finally, too, they brought in the parent group after that whole meeting, and the parents like rush back to the house and like, okay, where's our kids? What are we gonna do? Like those three moms are a force to be reckoned with. I can't wait to see what happens with them.
Yes.
I felt like such an old man where I'm just like, finally the parents together. And I would really love, because you know how like even in this poster, you got like Russia, California kids, the Hawkins kids, and then like 11 by herself. But you got to have another aspect, which is straight up the parents, you know, like the way they're all like meeting eyes at the rally or meeting eyes, you know, town hall and stuff like that. Like the one parent that I just like, my heart just like goes out for is Dusty's single mom.
Yeah.
I was raised by a single mom, and it's just, oh God, like Dusty's poor mother.
Yeah. It's a little reminiscent of, you know, season 1, Joyce. I mean, Joyce is like, I need to find my son, you know? But it's cool getting to see so many people. So many of the parents come together when before it was just so fractured. And here's the thing that people are also have been talking about, that Hopper, Joyce, Murray, like they don't know what's happening. They don't know what's happening.
That's the thing, the lack of communication between the groups. By this point, I figured they would all be talking.
Like, but how? How would they be able to get in touch? I mean, they just all like, you know, Mike, Will, Argyle.
They were just texting.
Yeah, so
Hey, no, all of us at that time where we walked around the house with a like 15-foot cord attached to the wall, and we just walked around, everything. We all did that.
I thought it was, yeah, I just thought it was genius. Like in the 90s when we had the cordless, I was just like, this is amazing. The thing, the plate's plugged into the other room. You know, that blew our minds. I want to also speak for a quick second about David Hopper's speech when he's in the prison, and he talks about his kid, and he talks about like, what's the phrasing? Here, come back to me. I had a little sheet where I wrote it down like an old man. So hold on, let me see if I can go grab that. I'll be right back.
We actually are gonna be talking about Hopper and food. So we can start setting that up as well. The imprisoned men are basically getting ready to fight the scary thing, and they are given a lot of food, and they're like, woohoo! But it's not what it seems. So everyone in the chat, get your answers ready. The question I have for y'all is, if you're getting ready for battle, if you're getting ready for something big, like, I don't know, something I remember growing up, it was like the tax test coming from Texas. That was the Texas Assessment of Knowledge and Skills. It was like, have a big breakfast, be ready. So it could be something like that, or the SATs or whatever, or like a big job interview project. What is like your battle meal? The one that gets you prepped for battle. Go ahead and get your answers in the chat. So, Johnny, go ahead and say what you were going to say. You're muted, though.
I was really hoping you didn't pick me because I was just like, oh, shit.
Well, no. Tell me about let's go into the Hopper stuff.
Okay, so the Hopper stuff, come back to me on that one again, was the concept where he's talking about, like, I'm cursed. He talks about Vietnam, and he talks about, like, you know, I wanted to be, and this is just a cis hetero dude right here saying, like, doing the thing that, like, if you need me, I'm here for you. But really, you're here for me. Like, I need you just as much as you need me. Mm-hmm. Or just like thinking about, like, I will be strong for you first and blah, whatever. But the concept of maybe it's just the self-doubting, the sort of like the part where he talks about, oh, I thought I was cursed, but I'm the curse. That things always happen to me. And he's looking at a scary thing that, because he knows what a Demogorgon is, he knows what's going to happen. And that's why, you know, they're sort of like, oh, I'm thinking like, oh, the plan's gonna be this way or that. But yeah, like the concept of like, I try to think like, I'll be strong for you, but I need you to be strong for me. That really hit me. Really. I mean, Hopper's stuff as like the bad vibes, it really gets me, like being a teenager and all that like bully stuff, like it was there, it formed who we are. But like more the joy stuff, like Bob Newby, man, like I'm telling you, like Mr. Clark, like all these adults, like to have a Asian American like psychologist in the 80s, I'm just like represented. I'm old, I'm Asian, like this, I'm a, like that's Stranger Things, the middle-aged version is probably a more boring show.
Well, touching base on that psychologist, and going back to the football team, all the people who have went to the psychologist, she didn't report on any of them. All the same issues and everything. So what's her game? That's what I want to know. Why isn't she? She might be a little bit more deep. Yeah.
I like that.
I saw a Reddit where she had like a necklace that had like a clock on it.
I heard that too, yeah.
Oh.
Yo.
Well, and then in that same Reddit post was when Max went over to her house, and when she was in the office behind, there's just a slight ticking of a clock the entire scene that she's there.
Oh my God, I didn't even notice that.
But going back to that like battle meal, whatever.
Yeah.
Again, like with breakfast thing, I'm a simple person. Give me coffee and maybe a breakfast sandwich, and I'm good to go.
What kind of breakfast sandwich? Detail.
Oh, bacon, egg, and cheese, or bacon, egg, and potato and cheese breakfast burrito from one of those like taco shops. Those are come in clutch for battle.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on mine. Yeah, like a breakfast burrito, Lucky Boy, if you're near Pasadena, like just fat baby-sized burrito. Yeah, just like it'll last you to the day. You either chop it in half, save for it later, but that's what I'm talking about right there.
Oh, yeah. But
yeah, go ahead.
Hopper sitting there talking to them for that whole meal thing, and them just being like, oh, he's gonna die, look at him, he's drunk, and him just being like, it's white, right? And about 7 feet tall. And then just going into that story of like, oh yeah, you guys have no idea. This is not just for fun of it. It's because they're plumping you up so that he can have fun.
See their faces, realize that.
Yeah.
Horrible. It was so scary. Okay, now before we jump into the final two groups of people, or the final group of people, I want to touch on this quick little moment that we got between Max and Lucas. Obviously, we gave Max, a massive shout out last show, last week. Sadie Sink killed it. Just did a beautiful job, phenomenal job. Obviously, Kate Bush, massive shout out to her, all her success. But we got this moment that was really nice, and I feel like we don't really get to see in a lot of shows. Because Lucas comes to find out, like, this is after Patrick's death, and he says, everyone that's been Vecna, he doesn't say that, but everyone that gets Vecna has had something horrible happen, that they've been hurting this whole time. And he basically was like, I didn't know Patrick very well, but I knew you, and I should have known. And then she says something along the lines of like, yeah, but I was escaping, I was retreating, I was whatever, running away. And then he's like, but I should have known, I should have been there. And so here's my quick little PSA for everyone watching right now, live or in the future. One, definitely do not feel like it's your fault if something happens to someone and they're like it's not on you. But two, let's check in on one another at all times. Not just like when things get really crazy, but just at all times. I had a friend recently, she just texted me, she's like, hey, I just want to let you know I love you. And I was like, I love you so much. And I think that that's what we need right now. And I love that we got this moment just to check in and be like, look, like I've got your back. I'm sorry I didn't notice. but also like, I've got your back, you've got my back. We're all in this together. We're all in the trenches together. And given what's happened in the last years, months, weeks, days, everything, like we just need to check in on one another. So yeah, thoughts about that moment and the fact that we don't really see stuff like that.
I want to shout out to my best man. If you want to look him up, he's King Kupo Cosplay. He's a brilliant cosplayer. He makes his stuff very well. But he's my best man for a reason, because whenever we're going through stuff, you know, he does a really good job of understanding that when he asks, hey, what's going on? How have you been since the last time we talked? And he understands that if I can't get into it right now, like he knows that I'm going to get an honest answer out of him. And that's why he's my best man. Like, you know, like he gets that, like, even if you don't answer right now, I'm checking up on you. And and if you can keep those people around you the most. And even if they're just acquaintances, when someone asks you how your day is and if you're ready to open up, you open up. If you're not, then you're not. But like, that's what the best thing about this guy is. Also, he's a Tones cosplay. Go check him out.
Thank you, Nom Talk Network, for sharing that Instagram link. So we got that in the chat. Eric?
I completely forgot about this question, but because I was just so into it, but both of you were just saying, I'm like, yes, check in on each other.
Johnny Nichols.
Now we're going into a therapy session right now, guys. But yeah, no, definitely, like he was saying, it was so sweet to see that. Like I had mentioned a couple of episodes ago, I was like, somebody needed to check up on her, and I'm glad that clicked in his brain too. Of like, I should have just reached out to you. I could see something because you could see it in his eyes. He just wasn't doing it. But yeah, I don't know, Lucas. I feel like he's more developing as a character. I want to see more of him this season, because I feel like him and Will are kind of being placed on the back burner a little bit this season.
The writers are juggling, man. That's what it is.
There's so many people. Look, we just went through how many groups?
I mean, yeah. And we're going to end it with another group. Let's get into that right now, actually. So, Robin, Nancy, Jonathan,
Steve, right?
Robin, wait, I have it written because technically there was one group: Steve, Robin, Nancy, Max, Dustin, and Lucas. They basically ended up at Vecna's house, basically. But on the other side, right? Because the upside down part, boop, there's Vecna. And then later we see just Robin, Nancy, Jonathan, Eddie, and sorry, not Jonathan. It's Robin, Nancy, Steve, and Eddie. They end up on a boat because they're like, we're going to go find Vecna. We're going to figure this out. And this is what we're left with. Steve jumps, boom, finds that whole situation. Oh my God, Dustin was right. Great. And then he comes back up. He's telling everyone what's happening. And whoosh, boom, there he goes down into Lover's Lake. Nothing very loving about that moment. But what is loving is that Nancy jumps right after. No hesitation. She goes, boom. And then I love the moment with Robin being like, all right. And then Eddie's like, no, she said to wait. And then she's like, well, no, whatever. And then she goes. And then Eddie jumps.
Where he's like, she's the leader. She said to wait. And she was like, I lied. And then just drops back down.
Yes. It's so great. And we're left with Steve getting attacked by bat-like creatures in the upside down. So I want to know your thoughts, everyone here watching. Thoughts on everyone's like situation. The fact that also Dustin, Lucas, and Max are kind of left behind as the like adult kids go, the teenagers go, and like, you know, how the whole boat situation. And obviously no spoilers for next episode, but also what you want to see happen, you know, with all of them, and worries, fears, everything. And let's get into predictions and things. Just tell me everything, Eric.
So I am so happy that Steve is not the babysitter. He finally broke that. But it was just great to see the connection between Robin and Nancy with him. Like, they genuinely care about him. And we're just like, well, we're fighting this. We're doing it again. Let's go. Eddie, on the other hand, is the one that I'm like, okay, can you do this? I know you jumped into and went down there, but can you actually do this and survive it?
I'm scared.
I'm scared. I'm scared for him. He's the new one. He's the one I like. So he can't die this season.
Yeah.
As for the kids who got left on the shore, I feel like now they're transitioning into you guys are older. I know you guys have ran about before, but now you don't need babysitters. You can do this on your own. We do trust you a little bit more.
Yeah. Scared. I would not want to be left alone. Like, nah, freaking take me with you. You're braver than me.
Well,
Yeah.
would you really want to take Max down to the upside down? That would not have been a good news for her.
No. Johnny?
Yeah, I just want to take a moment to go back to that Lucas and Max area or discussion, and the idea that like he's like, oh, I miss your laugh, and then when they're walking to the Skull Rock, Robin speaks about like, oh, young love and blah 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 blah, and they keep on talking about like this sort of unspoken triangle between Jonathan and all that kind of stuff. But I just have to ask, you guys are performers, that moment where Steve Harrington just opens his yeah, and I gotta it was clearly not that I'm doing it. But the part where the simple stuff like I miss your laugh, like lines like I miss your laugh, and when Nancy just like looks him right before Steve jumps in, and she says, be careful, that beat. Now, you as performers, do you ever have to what's your go-to moment as like on stage or on screen? Like, what's your go-to moment when you look to that person? Like, do you just kind of do the sense memory thing where you're just like, I'm looking at my boyfriend, I'm looking at, whoever's the equivalent in my personal life to be like, Oscar moment. Be careful.
The tables, I like it. You're asking us. Hey.
Well, I'm asking you guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
and any actors who might be.
For me, it is a lot of pulling back on past memories and everything like that. I'm definitely that kind of actor that I have to dissect my script and place myself into parts of that just to make it go more fluid and more believable.
Yeah.
Host.
Oh,
what you got for me?
I was thinking that like it just becomes about like how connected you are to the character, like your character, and it's how you see that character, yes, but it's not about my life and my personal experiences because I can't do substitution because I'm a different person than the character. The character would behave differently. Like maybe I would sob and say, "Be careful." But that's not what my character would do. My character would be like, okay, this is the situation. Like, for example, Nancy. Nancy would just, you're looking at Steve and place yourself in that situation. You love Steve, whether it's romantic or not, like you love Steve. So how does it truly make you feel? At the bottom of your like stomach, your heart, everything. How does that really like physically feel? You're scared. And it's so everything, like your body doesn't know that it's acting. So you have to fully feel that. And so when you do, that's when that moment comes out and it has to be layered because that's what it is. It's not just like be careful.
There's layers to getting emotional aspects of like that.
Yeah.
You definitely have to do all the homework in order to.
Yeah.
That it was just a simple look that looked easy, but there's so much work that went behind that, I guarantee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, as someone who's not a performer, as someone who's a director, or someone who likes working with actors, like I don't want to get too full of myself there, but I do like the idea of, and part of the reason why I think I was put on the search line, I hope that I was put on the search to do this, but that the collaboration, the getting to it, the finding the way, and that's the adventure that these actors and that these creators are doing, and they are. Because they're giving us such good performances. Whether or not we can go get a thinking cap at Hot Topic or all the merchandising and all the the sort of fandom and the Reddit and all that kind of stuff. What it really boils down to is that it's rooted in these really great performances.
Well, I mean, even as the director thing, like even the actor comes in with their own ideas, all that work and everything, and the director has their ideas. Sometimes you get to those points with a very trusted director where they just push you, and then something beautiful magically just opens up, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. You get it. This is magic.
Yeah, it's a collaboration.
Yeah.
Everything like has to work together. And yeah, I mean, as we wrap up today's show, what are y'all hoping for? I mean, we get brand new freaking episodes on Friday, technically late Thursday night. So I want to know how you're feeling as you also tell us where people can find you on social media. Johnny, we'll start with you.
These aren't episodes. This is a saga. Each episode is a damn ass, hell ass movie. Like, I just like, it's like, I remember back in the early aughts, or like the late aughts, where it was just like, hey, do you want to get stoned and watch the extended edition of Lord of the Rings? You know, shout out to the Mordor reference.
Yeah.
But like, when it comes right down to it, like, the kids and the generations that are watching this and this, you know, show will live on and all that kind of stuff. It's really very much it's a sit down, they keep you plugged in, and Netflix knows that, you know, because Stranger Things already has this following, they're going to do that. Also, I'm Johnny. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram, all the same stuff. Pisano Guy, Pisano Pictures. And if you want to see more of my best man busting some sweet best man moves, we had in a pre-COVID situation, we had another channel called Unboxer Briefs, where we just had an unboxing channels. If you want to see us rock it, we're adorable, and I was less gray.
Eric?
Well, I'm Eric. You can find me at Heartless7 on Instagram and all of the socials. I'm hoping the new episodes don't take away any of my favorite people. That is my one thing. Argyle, all of them, I hope they make it through. I have a fear somebody might die. That's my distinct fear, somebody that we love. But I hope they make it through. That's what I want going into this next ones.
If there's a way to like sort of poll on Nom Talk Network, like who do you think's gonna survive before the first? Does it come out on the first? Is the next?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So from now until then, like, who do you think, or not even then, the last episode, what do the polls say for this next episode? Like, who do you think will survive? You know?
Yeah, I like that idea. So thank you all so much for watching. That's all the time we have for today. We did talk about episodes 5 and 6 of Stranger Things. So next week, we will be having a show on the 4th of July. We will be going into episodes 7 and 8, which will be brand new. And then the following week, we'll go into the season finale. Be sure to join our Discord to keep the conversation going, as always. And then follow us right here on Twitch. Just go ahead and it's one of these where the little heart is. And then if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up. Shout out to Johnny and Eric. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me today. Again, getting to just geek out about Stranger Things and all its characters and plot arcs and everything that happens. Nice. I like that you made that. That's great.
I make my own lower thirds.
Look at you. Resourceful. So you can listen to the show on Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitch. All of our platforms are at Nom Talk Network. Tune in to our show next week, July 4th at 8 p.m. Pacific time, right here. Until then, I'm your host, Amy Cassandra Martinez, and you guys can find me on all social media at Amy Cassandra MTZ. Take care of yourselves, check in on one another, and most importantly, stay hydrated because it's hot outside.